The Black Lawyers Association is not happy with the JSC's recommendation to suspend John Hlophe. It says the advice to the president on the Western Cape Judge President is irrational and unlawful. It's now calling on the president to exercise his discretion. Let's discuss this now with Baete Maswazi from the Black Lawyers Association. Baete, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. So you have reservations about this recommendation from the JSC. Why?
Yes, we have got reservations because Judge President Hlophe has been a judge ever since these charges were preferred against them, a period of close to about 15 years now. And there is no indication in the decision by the JSC that there is some circumstances that have changed which warrant a suspension. Those circumstances would be, for instance, that there is a risk that the judiciary itself will be put into disrepute as a result of his continued occupation of the position.
This matter has been ongoing. Let me go back to about 2008. You know, at some point we're expecting the JSC to come up with some sort of decision. We also want to. Don't you think the public would also want to see the resolution of this? Yes,
it must be resolved. Remember, the actual process of impeachment is outside the hands of the JSC now. It is with Parliament. But on the other hand, the Judge President has appealed some of the findings of the JSC to the SCA. It is only fair and rational that that process be given its own opportunity to be completed. More so that the appeal itself would have to be determined on the basis that there are prospects of success in the appeal. There is absolutely no reason or basis for the JSC to rush and open a gate for the president to suspend the judge president.
Okay, so the ball, we can say, is in the president's court. What powers are granted to the president by the Constitution in this matter?
It's a discretion for him to suspend a judge that is a subject of an impeachment process. But as we expect the laws in South Africa to be, one does not have to exercise a power just because he has that power. One has to exercise the power because there are justifying circumstances for it. That is what we expect the president to consider as he pondered the question whether to give effect to the recommendation of the JSC.
Are we setting some sort of precedence in this particular matter, especially when it comes to the judiciary? And I'm asking here in the eyes of, again, the public, the peoples of South Africa.
We are not, because the law provides for a discretion. It means that each case has to be considered on its own merits or demerits. So there is no precedent that is being set in so far as the suspension is concerned.
The findings of gross misconduct, what do you make of? I mean, I'm sure you've gone through some of those findings where, yes, and the matter is the judge president is appealing some of those findings. But do you feel that some of those findings don't warrant, this particular action from the JSC?
No, remember the findings of the JSC is one thing. The suspension is another. There has to be a reason for the findings, irrespective of. There has to be a reason for the suspension, irrespective of the findings of the JSC. So the two processes are to an extent, though related, but not very interdependent. So when the JSC decides to, as I say, open a gate for the president to effect a suspension, they've got to consider certain circumstances. And for us, that is already a problem in this decision because the JSC has not exactly provided the public with any decision of the circumstances that they have considered in order to reach that decision to recommend a suspension.
So if they were to furnish the public, would you relook at their decision, take another view of the decision? different view?
It will depend on the veracity of the decisions provided. I do not want to anticipate that situation without having seen the reasons themselves. But we do have some doubts because there are facts that we all know, and that may not necessarily exclusively lie in the possession of the JSC.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for speaking with us this afternoon. Bayete Maswazi from the Black Lawyers Association, talking to us about the recommendations that by the JSC that the Western Cape Judge President John Hlophe be suspended. Those recommendations, of course, made to the president.